it's your girl Morgan. Welcome to the Get Real podcast. In case you're new here, this is the podcast where we talk about everything. Business, parenting, and all the other things I'm barely surviving. We pick the brains of professionals, hear inspirational stories, and get advice from friends. Literally, this is your everything podcast, and I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so that you can stay tuned for all the episodes and never miss a beat. All right, let's dive in. Okay, guys, I'm so happy that you're here for this episode, and this one is one that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's taken me a minute to be able to really find a way to share this. It was so layered that I wasn't really sure which high points, what the take-home message was going to be, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, so October, which we're coming to an end, and that's why I had to get this episode out there. I've been dissecting it and working on it for weeks, but October, yes, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we all want to bring awareness and fight for cures and all of that. But one thing that's not really talked about as much is that October is Domestic Violence Month, too. And for those listening, you may or may not know, but I am a survivor of domestic violence myself. So that's why it is so close to my heart, and I'm so passionate about it. But I realize that I think a lot of people don't really understand what domestic violence actually looks like. Sure, you think of the physical abuse automatically, I'm sure. You think bruises, you think stitches, you probably think screaming matches behind closed doors, but it's more than that, and it's different than that. And I wanted to use this time to maybe open the eyes of some of the listeners out there. I wanted to use this episode to maybe inspire or help somebody that might be going through a situation right now. I really wanted to start by asking a question. And this might seem strange, but this question is the big one. What crime that involves a victim forces the victim to encounter their attacker over and over and over again, face to face, again and again? I started thinking about that, and because that's what happens with domestic violence. And I couldn't think of another crime that involved a victim that was similar, that was the same, that created opportunity for re-traumatization of the victim over and over and over again. And not even created the opportunity, but forced it, really. If you're mugged, you might see that criminal in court, but you're not going to have to sit in a room with them. If you're a rape victim, you're not going to have to communicate with your rapist face to face. If you're assaulted by a stranger, no court is going to tell you that you have to have an open line of communication with them. But in domestic violence cases, and a lot of times there are children involved, obviously, that's what happens. A severe crime is committed that involves a victim, and that victim is forced to communicate with their attacker, make plans with their attacker, negotiate, coordinate, see their attacker over and over and over again. So I think that domestic violence gets shoved under the rug a lot. I know personally, when I was going through my domestic violence case, I was told by so many people, mainly people that were supposed to protect me, but I was told by so many people that, well, the problem with your case is that you're going through a divorce. That made no sense to me. I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. I was in a relationship that was leaving myself and my children destitute. I was dealing with a spouse that suffered from addiction to the point that it was putting myself and my children in danger of being homeless, danger of not being able to feed them. And I decided I had to get out. I had to get out for the safety of my children. And then the physical attack happened. But the problem with my case was that I was going through a divorce. So I'm guessing that meant maybe I shouldn't be believed. The evidence was overwhelming. The pictures, the clothes that were sent to the crime lab. The investigation was solid, but because I was going through a divorce, that was a problem. But like many domestic violence victims, there is a divorce, whether it was already in motion or has now become in motion. Generally, I mean, I would at least hope that the victim is trying to separate herself from the abuse. And when that happens, and when there's children involved, there's also Chancery Court. Chancery Court is not a court set out to protect a victim. Chancery Court is there to protect parental rights. Nothing against the way that the law works, but that is what it's there for, is to protect parental rights, not protect victims. And I think the miscommunication between the different courts is a huge, huge, huge failure for the victims. It was for me. Okay, so here's the deal. This podcast, it's for all of us. It's for all of us to learn from one another. So I want to know, what do you want to know? What topics do you want to hear? What guests would you like to hear from? What do you want to learn next? Head over to morgancharleigh.com and drop me a line. Fill out the little form. And I promise I'll do my best to cover that topic or find that person that can. And remember, you can catch us here every week. Be sure to hit the little subscribe button so you never miss a beat. So let's back up. Domestic violence, what does it actually look like? Because, like I said, it's more than bruises and stitches. It's more than screaming matches behind closed doors. Most of the time, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't start like that anyways. Most of the time, on the other end of this mountain, on the opposite side, when you come out, I would venture to say most of the time, friends, family members that had no idea that that was even going on. And I can't tell you how many times I heard, I never would have thought he would do that. I never would have thought y'all were going through that, because it doesn't always look like bruises and stitches. Generally, it's going to start with manipulation. I'd say it's going to start with manipulation that looks like love. It's going to look like passion, like you would see in a movie. In my experience, that's what I would say. It's going to look exciting and fun, and like you're the only one, and you're going to have this thought of like, oh my gosh, this is love. This is where the fire is. This is where the passion is. And then it turns into isolation. It turns into keeping you away from people that you've known and that have loved you your whole life. It's going to turn into planting doubt in your mind about what you've known your whole life. You're going to question things that you've known. You're going to question ways that you were raised. You're going to question your morals. And this is all strategic. It's all by design. And it turns into isolation so that when the abuse happens, no one sees it. And I'm still not talking about bruises and stitches. I'm talking about the psychological warfare that happens that nobody talks about. Have you ever seen those movies, Lifetime movies, where the kidnapper falls in love with the person that kidnapped them? And it's mind-boggling, right? It's like, how? How could they do that? How could they now love this person? Well, it's a trauma bond. That's what it's called. And it's literally when the victim, over time and repetition, is told things, is put in certain situations, is mentally manipulated over and over and over again until that becomes the reality. And the only person there, the only person that ever saves them, that ever comforts them, is the abuser. I've referenced the book, The Body Keeps the Score, before. And it does. The brain works in such a way that it's pretty much brainwashing. But the brain works in such a way that these things happen, and the abuser is the one that's always saving the day. And while you can look back and you can see it perfectly when you're in it, you can't. And your body automatically, your brain automatically thinks they are the one that loves you. They are the one that's going to save you. They're the protector. They're the safe place. When in reality, they're the one that's creating the pain in the first place. And that's what domestic violence starts like. That's what domestic violence starts as. It's manipulation, it's isolation, it's a vicious cycle of abuse and saving, and you feel like you can't get out of it. And if you do realize what's actually going on, you're already so isolated and maybe embarrassed and feeling so alone, like you have nowhere to go because you have been isolated for so long that you're hopeless and you can't get out. When I look back, I can see it so clearly. I can see all the phases. I can see the love bombing. I can see the charm. I can see the manipulation. I can see the isolation. And when talking to family members now, they'll say, I always knew something bad was going on because I stopped hearing from you. But looking back, because I can see it so clearly, I can see it wasn't love, it was control. Little by little, the attention, the flattery, the charm all turned to control. And then that's when the dependency happens emotionally, financially. They may even use your kids as a weapon, as a fear factor to control you. Over time, they twist reality so much that you start questioning yourself instead of questioning them. And that's the goal. And the worst part of that, like I said, the body keeps the score. Subconsciously, you bond yourself to your abuser, biologically wired to attach yourself to the very person that's hurting you. It's crazy and it's scary and it's real. I remember the moment that I realized that I was not myself. The person in the mirror was not who I was. I was smaller. I was quieter. I walked on eggshells to survive. And still, like so many victims, I thought love could fix it, but it can't. It never will, because it was never love in the first place. It was control. And for those of us that have children involved, escaping that night, escaping that relationship, that's not the end of the abuse. If anything, that was the beginning of a different type of abuse. Because like I said, the family court was not created to protect victims. The family court is there to protect parental rights, whether the parent deserves the rights or not. After I was attacked and survived and escaped, my ongoing divorce was obviously happening. And I had to sit in a 4-hour deposition in a small room with my attacker and 3 attorneys. That was it. There was no police protection. There was no emotional support. There was just trauma. There was an attorney questioning me, interviewing me. Felt more like an interrogation about the attack, making me relive it again. And this was for family court. I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I thought I was following the law. I thought I was cooperating. I thought I was doing right. There were criminal charges pending. I had a no contact order in place, but because the two court systems don't align and because there's a gap, I fell through it. I was unprotected, unsupported, and re-traumatized. But that was just once because, like I said, family court protects parental rights. So you're ordered to communicate. You're ordered to coordinate schedules. You're ordered to meet face-to-face, to exchange children. And I hate to tell the court system, but even if it's in a public place, that doesn't alleviate the re-traumatization. Seeing your abuser's vehicle triggers a physiological response. Their face, their voice triggers a physiological response. A trauma response, no different than PTSD. And I found what was even worse was that nobody talks about any of this. The community doesn't see it. The community sees 2 parents trying to figure things out. They don't see the trauma. They don't see the fear. They don't see the hopelessness and helplessness that the victim continues to go through. And if you're listening right now and you're going through this, if you're listening right now and you find yourself in a relationship, and if you find yourself questioning yourself, okay, with questions like, is this bad enough? Am I being dramatic? Should I report this? Should I tell someone? I don't want to seem crazy, but maybe I should tell someone. You should. Because like I said, it doesn't start with bruises and stitches. So if you're questioning yourself, listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. You're not dramatic. You're not crazy. And you're not alone. If you're scared because you think you have nowhere to go or you think that there's nobody to protect you. You do have rights and you deserve safety. You deserve peace. There are a few things that I wish I knew before. I wish somebody had told me safety planning is important. When you find yourself thinking you might be in a dangerous relationship, hopefully you don't have to use it, but safety planning is important. Having a family member that knows a code word, having a friend that knows a code word, that if you text it, if you say it, they know you're not safe. Saving everything, not on your own phone, your own email, but any text messages, any recordings, any videos, anything that you have, making sure somebody else that you trust has them. Protective orders are real. Restraining orders, no contact orders. You can file those in justice court. No, a piece of paper won't protect your life. But as you go through this battle, it helps. In every instance when the court order is broken, it's recorded. And that's important. In Mississippi, we have a Crime Victims Bill of Rights. I didn't know about this, but these are actual victims' rights that you have, and you should know them. You have the constitutional right to be treated fairly in the criminal proceedings. You have the right to be protected. You have the right to be informed and notified with any change in your case. If your attacker is released, if a court date is changed, if they are released on bond, and any other post-conviction status changes. You have a right to know. You have a right to be present at trials and proceedings. You have a right to be heard. You have the right to be safe. You have the right for your attacker to not know where you live. You also have the right to financial compensation. And most of all, this is the thing that I wish I knew. Besides knowing all of those rights, I wish I knew that I had to file for them. I wish I knew I had to fill out an application to have those rights. If you're going through this, please know your rights and go apply for them. If you're in Mississippi, you can find the application at attorneygeneralfitch.com. After talking about all of this with you guys, healing is the ultimate goal. Moving on, moving forward. And I have found the biggest help in healing and moving forward is sharing my story, talking about it, talking about your trauma. Abuse lives in the silence. Let me say it again. Abuse lives in the silence. The more you share, the more you talk, the more we bring light to domestic violence, the less it can hide. By telling your story, by sharing what has happened to you, you are taking ownership back. You're putting yourself back in the driver's seat of your life. This isn't something that was done to you. It's something that you overcame. This is your story. And it's yours to tell. It's yours to share. And it might help somebody else that's listening to have the strength and the hope to take their own life back. So if you're listening, if this resonates with you, please share it. Please share it with somebody who may need to hear it today. Please spread the word, because October is not just Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's also Domestic Violence Month, and we need to talk more about it.